Most of us arrive at the start of a new year with a quiet hope, a deep desire for this year to be different, to be better, more focus, more success, more fulfillment. But if you've done this a few times, you know that wishing and hoping is not enough. And that motivation that you feel at the start of the year does not last very long. So in this video, I want to share 15 Buddhist principles that have shaped my life, my work, and the men I coach. These are not productivity hacks or manifestation techniques. These are not a list of goals to chase. This is about training the mind, learning how to suffer less, act more skillfully, and stop sabotaging yourself from the inside out. The Buddha did not teach how to build a perfect life or transcend reality. He taught how to understand your mind and how to work with craving, fear, and distraction, how to become someone who can meet life without constantly running away. These teachings are over 2,500 years old, but they are more relevant than ever in a distracted, overstimulated, dopamine-driven world. If you actually implement these principles, not just understand them intellectually, your 2026 will be better. Not because your life gets easier, but because you get wiser and more capable. So, let's get into it. 15 Buddhist principles to make 2026 a different year. Number 1, train the mind like you train your body. One of my all-time favorite quotes from the Buddha comes from the Dhammapada, and he said, "A disciplined mind brings happiness." So we need to train and discipline the mind, understanding that training the mind is just as important as training the body. In Buddhism, this is known as bhavana. Bhavana is the word for mental cultivation. In the same way that you might cultivate the fields for your crops, you can cultivate the mind. You can prepare the mind and strengthen the mind. So in the same way that we spend a lot of time going to the gym, eating healthy, stretching, taking care of the body, we need to meditate and practice mindfulness and pay attention to our thoughts to train the mind. Progress here comes from consistent practice and from rewiring the mind through neuroplasticity. So just remembering that quote, that a disciplined mind brings happiness. Disciplined mind creates freedom in the same way that training your body does. It will help everything. Number 2, stay steady in discomfort. Learning to remain grounded when things feel unpleasant is one of the core tenets of Buddhist practice. This is something that is known as equanimity. It's something I talk about in a lot of my videos. The Sanskrit word for it is upekkha. But essentially, it's understanding that you can train yourself in this ability to stay grounded, to stay calm in the face of chaos. So in the face of strong, unpleasant emotions or pain in the body, you can train yourself to stay grounded and to actually lean into that discomfort, to not run away, to not collapse, and not seek out addictive behaviors as a way of coping with them. So equanimity is that ability to feel the discomfort without reacting blindly to it. A quote around this that I really love is that pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So we can experience pain, we can experience unpleasantness, and we can stay grounded in the face of that. We don't have to lose our inner stillness, even when things don't go the way we want. Number 3, let go of anger before it burns you. Another one of my favorite quotes from Buddhist philosophy is that holding on to anger is like grasping on a hot coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. So understanding that your mental state is actually affecting not just other people, but really affecting you. A lot of times people don't realize that certain mental states are just causing suffering for themselves. Anger is a really obvious one. Resentment is another one. Envy, jealousy. These are things that are actually causing you suffering. And to learn how to let go of these unwholesome mental states just for your own sake, even if it was just doing it selfishly, understanding that you are the one who is getting burned by these mental states. So part of growing is learning to let go of what is causing you harm. So thinking of this metaphor of holding onto a hot coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else, if you're sitting there angry at someone or resenting someone or judging someone, you are the one who's getting burned. Number 4, practice like your life depends on it. So to not treat your personal development so casually, to not get complacent or lazy with your personal development. In the Samyutta Nikaya, which is one of the suttas, the Buddha said this. He said, suppose your head were on fire. What would you do? In the same way, strive with urgency. So he really called us out to strive with urgency, to act like your head was on fire. The Pali word here is sambhega, and what sambhega means is spiritual urgency. To realize your time is precious and to not get lazy or get complacent with your personal development. This is not to panic, but this is to have clarity about how little time you actually have and how important and valuable your time is. Understanding that complacency quietly destroys your potential. To get out of that, practice like your hair was on fire. Buddha's principle number 5, prioritize your relationships. There's a story about a man named Ananda, who was the kind of the right-hand man of the Buddha, and he was having this deep insight one day. He had this insight. He went to the Buddha. He said, wow, Buddha, I've had this really important insight. I've realized that community, it must be half of the spiritual life is about community and connection. And the Buddha said, this is not true, Ananda, not true. Community is the whole of the spiritual life. So understanding that your connection with others, your relationships with others, is not just a luxury to have at the end. It's fundamental to your growth as a human, to all the success you want in your life, this year and beyond. Relationships are not optional. We do not heal or grow in isolation. And in fact, there's no point in personal development that does not benefit or impact others in some way. I mean, what's the point of improving yourself if it's not to make the world a better place, or at least make your community or your home a better place? So prioritize relationships and realize that relationships are not optional. Number 6, to live by a clear moral code. Anagarika Munindraji, who is the teacher of one of my teachers, he said this about having a moral code or having an ethical code. He said, practicing meditation without ethics is like trying to row a boat across a lake without first untying it from the dock. You see a lot of people these days focusing on all kinds of personal development, getting into shape, improving their fitness, getting more money in the bank, all kinds of things, but they forget to have a moral code, to follow an ethical life. And at least from the Buddhist perspective, trying to improve yourself without a grounding in some kind of moral code or ethical values is like trying to row a boat across a lake without untying it from the dock. It's not going to go anywhere. You can have the sharpest mind and the fittest body and the most money in the bank, but if you're not living in alignment with some kind of ethical values, it's not going to take you very far. So to get in alignment and live by a clear moral code. Number 7, choose your companions carefully. Your environment shapes you more than you realize, more than your greatest intentions, more than your own habits. And this is why the Buddha said, if you find no one to walk with who is your equal or better, walk alone. If you can't find skillful people to walk with, sometimes it's better to walk alone. If all you have around you is toxic people, negative people, people who are bringing you down or engaging you in harmful ways or unethical living, it's better to walk alone until you can find skillful friends, people who actually lift you up, support you, inspire you to live a better life. Just recognizing how important your companions are and to choose your companions carefully. A more modern take on this is that quote that often gets thrown around, which says that we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So just recognize how important it is to choose who you walk with. 8, get honest about what leads to happiness. In the suttas, one of the key understandings of Buddhism is around the Eightfold Path and the different things you can do for your life. And one of the first steps in the Eightfold Path is right view. Right view comes first, and from right view, right intention follows, and all the other Eightfold Path factors follow from there. But right view or right understanding, seeing clearly, is the first step. You have got to make sure that you are seeing clearly, that you are climbing the right ladder in your life, that you are pursuing the right kinds of things. Many people succeed at lives that do not satisfy them. I was on this journey myself. I was climbing all kinds of wrong ladders in my life, and I needed to actually slow down and objectively see, hey, this is not leading me in the right direction. I see clearly now what leads to happiness and what doesn't. The ladder that I was on before was, if I just have more sense pleasure and more success and more external validation, then I'll be happy. And that wasn't leading me to a path of happiness. So take some time to get clear what leads to happiness. That is important. Principle number 9, make sure to spend time in the present moment. If you are always living in the future or in the past, you will never truly get to enjoy your life. Take time to slow down, to savor the present moment, because otherwise you will miss your whole life. In the Satipatthana Sutta, again, another of the Buddhist suttas, the Buddha said, when walking, know that you are walking. When sitting, know that you are sitting. Simply be aware of what's happening in the present moment not only gives you the opportunity to work with compulsive behaviors and interrupt those patterns, but it also gives you the ability to be grateful for what's right there in front of you. A lot of times we live so much in the future. Once I get this, then I'll be happy. Once I accomplish that, then I'll be happy. And we forget to be grateful for what's right in front of us already. So spend time in the present moment, slow down, savor what's right in front of you is a crucial step. Number 10, build yourself gradually. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha says this. He says, do not think lightly of good, saying, it will not come to me. Drop by drop, the bucket is filled. So understand that even things that feel far away, a good life happening to you or some major success that you're chasing after, even if it feels far away, to understand that goodness happens gradually, drop by drop. It's not like things are going to change overnight. Things will change slowly and gradually if you stay consistent with your practices. So build yourself up slowly. Quiet consistency will beat dramatic effort every single day. Principle number 11, do not be shaken by praise and blame. One of the teachings that I go back to so much is this concept known as the 8 worldly winds in Buddhism. The 8 worldly winds are these 8 things that happen to everyone. Gain and loss, praise and blame, fame and disrepute, and pleasure and pain. These occur to everyone, the Buddha said. The wise are not shaken by them. So notice the ways in which you are getting shaken by these worldly winds. Pleasure and pain, gain and loss, praise and blame, and fame and disrepute. Are you losing your inner peace when the 4 unpleasant winds happen? And are you feeling inflated and getting attached to the pleasant winds that happen? So when somebody praises you, are you getting attached to that? Are you letting your ego get inflated? And when somebody blames you, are you getting shaken and agitated by that? A lot of these things are simply out of your control. That's why they're called the worldly winds. You don't get to control them. They just happen to everyone. What we can control is how we respond to those worldly winds. Can we maintain our inner peace? Can we look clearly? Can we stay humble? All of those things are what matter more. So to not be shaken by praise or blame. 12, take ownership of your life. No one can walk the path for you. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha says, you yourself must strive. The Buddhas only point the way. What that means is that we can have all kinds of mentors and teachers and wise people in our life who help us. They point the way, they give us advice, but you must be the one to walk the path, to live your own life. And this is the concept of taking ownership. So to not wait for perfect conditions, to not wait for permission, and most importantly, to not expect someone else to do the work for you. You have to take ownership for what you want done in the world, particularly when it comes to your own self-improvement. You yourself must strive. You yourself must walk the path if you want to see change. Principle number 13, do not believe everything your mind says. A core idea behind mindfulness is the idea that thoughts are rising and passing events. They are not facts. So learn how to observe your thoughts rather than obey them or believe them. This is the beginning of freedom from compulsive behavior. The underpinning of a lot of addiction is lies that the mind is telling you. Things like, oh, if you watch that porn, it will make you feel better. Or the lies that it says around your worthiness, saying you are unworthy, you're unlovable, you're broken. When we listen to those thoughts and treat them like facts, that's when we are susceptible to addiction. So observe your thoughts like a scientist and understand that they're passing thoughts. They're like leaves floating down a stream or clouds floating through the sky. They're not fact, they're not real, tangible things. Principle number 14, create freedom through discipline. I don't remember exactly who said this, but I remember a modern Buddhist teacher saying once something like this. He said, this path is not to follow the heart, but to train the heart. There's a lot of things in our modern society around follow your heart and follow your passion and listen to the heart. And it's one of the things I really love about Buddhist philosophy. It's not about following the heart sometimes. The heart can actually get you into trouble. The heart will tell you to go watch that porn or eat that cake. The path that we're on is training the heart into what leads to freedom and happiness. So create that freedom through discipline. There's nothing wrong with this. This is not about restriction. This is about creating a container for liberation. So there's that famous quote that many of you have heard, discipline equals freedom. When we can learn how to train the heart and train the mind and build freedom through discipline, that is when we will level up. And finally, Buddhist principle number 15, guard the mind like a city gate. I remember hearing this on one of my first meditation retreats, that you should treat your mind like a city and to be a guard at the gates of the city, watching what enters and what leaves. So make sure you are selective about what you consume, what you allow into your mind. And to do this, we really need to pay attention to what we are ingesting, the kinds of media and content and TV shows, the news that we're taking in, the thoughts from the people who we surround ourselves with. Again, this goes back to being careful with who you surround yourself with. Making sure you are treating your mind like a city and being a guard at the gate of that city. Being very careful about what you allow into your mind. This will be a game changer for you. So these teachings here are not about withdrawing from life. They are not about going off and becoming a monk and living in the mountains. They are about becoming less reactive, more honest, and harder to knock off center. If you live even a few of these principles consistently this year, your life will change for the better. Not because life gets easier, but because you become more capable, because you become wiser. So that is it, folks, for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of the Unhooked podcast. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.